Travelers on the Omnibus occasionally touches on mature subject matter with mature language. As such, audience discretion is advised.
There's this movie called Kaiju Mudo, where
is that Japanese for Borderlands?
Sort of, kind of.
Okay.
Where this really wimpy looking guy takes like a super serum that turns him into a giant Kota Ibushi to fight a kaiju, and that's not a euphemism. He literally turns into Kota Ibushi.
Which, for those of you who don't know, is a Japanese wrestler of great renown.
And then he comes back. He goes back to regular size, but he's still Kota Ibushi through most of the movie.
Huh.
And then he goes to fight the monster again because it comes back.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to give him a stronger serum, and he becomes a giant Minoru Suzuki.
Okay.
He actually got style pile drives the kaiju.
Okay. I love it.
So, yeah, that movie exists. Welcome to Travelers on the Omnibus, a field trip through nerd and pop culture. My name is Brady Davis.
I'm Jody Kite.
I'm Ethan Skinner.
I'm James McCarthy.
I've seen Calamari Wrestler. That's a dude in a giant squid costume
Yeah.
fighting other kaiju.
We're coming back
That's
from
sick.
a slight hiatus because the weather decided to go all crazy.
The
We just-
snowpocalypse.
We decided to have a winter wonderland about
And nobody
2
in
months late.
Mississippi is
Prepared.
for that.
No.
Snow tires. I just have tires.
Well,
What the
if you
fuck
buy
is
snow tires,
tires?
if you buy snow tires in Mississippi, you're most of the time gonna lose out on that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so we are back, and we are going to start the show and do our normal things, which is asking what we've been doing. Jody, what have you been doing?
So I've been doing quite a little bit here in the past 2 weeks because it's been about 2 weeks since
Yes.
we recorded last time. I'll start with the obvious. Yes, I did watch Dunes Part 1 and 2 again
Sweet.
twice.
Nice.
There you
Because as this show goes out, you can no longer watch Part 1 on Netflix.
That's awesome.
It ends on the 30th.
Uh-huh.
I believe both are still on Max.
The second one has only been on Netflix for like a month, so it's going to be on there for a little bit longer.
Mhm.
I've noticed that some of these crossover, Max has most of the rights for it. So I noticed like the A24, for example, Pearl's leaving again too, and they just put Pearl back on Netflix. So I think they're on there for only about 2 months now,
Yeah,
and not
probably.
extended period of time, depending on what it is. If it's on another streaming platform.
Mhm.
For example, I don't know why, but the overwhelming massive talent movie,
The unbearable weight of massive talent.
Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, is both on Netflix and Tubi at the same time.
Let's go Tubi.
So on Max right now, you have Dune Part 1, Dune Part 2,
Right.
Dune Prophecy,
Yeah.
and most importantly, Dune, the
1984.
1984 David Lynch
Yeah,
movie.
yeah.
But
I heard Doom Prophecy sucked.
If you like Dune, you should also check out The Penguin. That's what Max just told me.
Oh, great.
What?
That sounds
yeah,
about right.
Netflix is pretty bad about that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I watched Dunes Part 1 and 2 last week, and then
I apologize. It's worse on Netflix because a friend of ours has a daughter, and she watches, I think, Dora the Explorer. It was Blue's Clues. Sorry.
Sure.
At Blue's Clues,
Right.
And said, if you like Blue's Clues, that we recommend this. And the third one down was Criminal Minds.
Yeah.
Gotta start him off early.
Yeah.
Blue's Clues does not go into Criminal Minds.
Make her watch that episode where a dude feeds other people in the chili.
Just make
Nice.
And that person that did that is Jamie Kennedy.
Oh,
or just watch
not
any of
the
the
comedian
episodes.
Jamie Kennedy,
No,
but
the comedian Jamie Kennedy.
Yeah.
no,
The actor comedian
The
Jamie
actor,
Kennedy, yes.
the actor is Jamie Kennedy is playing the killer in that.
I got you.
Yeah. Or
comes-
just watch any of the C. Thomas Howell episodes.
I was like, is Jamie Kennedy actually a cannibal?
There's also
That's wild.
Let's start that rumor and get sued.
There's also a 3-episode arc of Tim Curry just being a madman.
Yes, those are
man,
good.
I need to watch some of that. Speaking of it, crossover, yeah, Borderlands is both on Prime and Paramount.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't get it.
They're probably paying each other to.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's some sort of financial.
Paramount probably has the Paramount produced version of it, and Amazon Prime has the version I saw.
Yeah.
And I got him! Spit take, yes.
He spit his energy drink back into the
Yeah.
can.
That's a monster, and that's a Jamba monster juice.
Well, they got to make their money back from Borderlands on other streaming platforms because nobody
No,
has.
they're probably telling us, please, we will pay you money if you stream.
They're probably
if you stream
paying
this
Amazon
thing.
to fucking. Hey, we just want people to
Take
see
this
this.
burden from me, please,
Yes.
for God's sake.
So I was like needing a movie last night. Just I was in the mood to watch something I hadn't seen before. So I watched Godzilla -1.
Ooh, shit.
Nice.
The G1.0 version,
Okay.
which is in black and white.
Oh, I've heard of this. I didn't know what it was called.
And I was like,
Is it just black and white, or is it like Kurosawa black and white?
it's like Kurosawa black and white.
Okay, that's even cooler. Yes.
It was really neat. Like I want to go back and watch it in color, but I don't know if I want to like ruin the mystique of it in black and white.
It's really good in
like
color.
when the shit started happening, it was like really cool to see electricity and like nuclear blasts in black and white.
yeah.
Also, it's set in like 45, so it reminded me of the original Godzilla movie,
Yeah.
Gojira. Oh man, I don't think I've ever cried in a Godzilla movie.
It'll get you.
And there was a couple of scenes where I started tearing up pretty bad, especially the end of that movie.
Oh yeah, the ending. Like I literally gasped in the theater.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah. Well, I gasped when the implication happened earlier. I was like, oh no.
yeah.
And it's like, well, time to go back to my roots. Give me the plane.
Yeah.
But yeah, Godzilla is
-1.
not Godzilla.
You said Godzilla like 3 times.
I did. -1, very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Very good.
Almost like a whole different kind of property because it's you go back to like Godzilla is not a good guy in this.
Yeah.
No, he's not.
At all. So I watched that. And then again, I watched Dune Part 1 last night, but I didn't watch Part 2 again because I've got like another month for that.
Yeah.
Again, I know 2 is favorable compared to 1, but I mean, if you need to see the first one before you see the second one, but there's so much crammed into 2 compared to the first one because they have a slow burn for what's happening, in the first one. I love the scene in the last few scenes of that before they get to the ending there, where Chani's like, "Here's my blade. You should at least die like a warrior or something. Die with honor." I was like, "Damn, you don't know this guy."
Yeah.
Then a movie later, halfway through, he's like, "I am Paul Moediva Atreides, Duke of Arrakis.
Yeah.
Let's go kill everybody."
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so I watched that.
That was very Tyrion Lannister the way you did that.
I mean,
like that.
I can't speak in.
Those are brave men out there. Let's go kill them.
Yeah.
Well, it would be even scarier if I could talk in the tone of the whatchamacallits, the evil lady syndicate.
Oh yeah.
The Bene Gesserits.
Gesserits.
Yeah.
Where they drop the bass.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was funny when like in the first there's a scene in the first movie where him and his mom is hanging out in the tent and he's having his first like flash forwards with all the spice in the tent or whatever, and he goes into the fucking voice. He's like, "You made me a abomination or a monster or whatever."
That.
You Bene Gesserit bitch.
That might be my favorite scene of the first movie.
It's really good. He's really mad at her.
Yeah.
Understandably no. But yeah, so I watched that. I watched those. I watched the first season of Mashal over the 2-week period in between our episodes, and that show's really good. Ethan's going to talk about the second episode on his little thing. And then I I dusted off the PlayStation 2 last night.
Oh,
Pulled out the old 13-inch CRT and put it on the computer desktop.
nice.
And ran through about 5 or 6 games. I played SmackDown 08, and I'm so trained on the new style of the games that I couldn't play, and I got my ass kicked by the computer. I played a really awesome Dynasty Warriors clone by Capcom called Double Kings, which is based off of a manga and anime franchise known as Sengoku Basara.
Oh, okay.
It's harder than those Dynasty Warrior games, and so I died many times. And then I played the sequel to Maximo and the Army of Zen. If you're not familiar with Maximo, I'm sure you're not familiar with Maximo.
Absolutely not.
I know of Maximo.
Yeah, I never played it, but I know what it is.
Maximo is a spiritual successor in theme only to the original Ghosts and Goblins franchise. You play Maximo, who's a hero, and just like in Ghosts and Goblins series, you get more armor. You get hit like 3 or 4 times, you're dead. Death is your friend in this game, which is funny. I think that's hilarious. It's probably one of the best platformers on the PlayStation 2. 3D platformers. And if you played Jak and Daxter or any of those games or any of the numerous amounts of platformers on that system, that's a big, bold statement to make. But Maximo and the sequel to Maximo are both phenomenal games. So I ended up playing Maximo Army of Zen without realizing it for probably about 3 hours.
Oh, wow.
And
pretty good.
It's been a while since I played a retro game that long, and I realized it wasn't just nostalgia. I think another reason was I didn't have any other options when I was zoned in. I was zoned in on the game. If I'm playing a game, if I'm playing a roguelike or any other game that I could just stop at any point, like Minecraft or Fortnite, and play a couple games, I'll play a couple of games and my mind automatically goes to, I'm on a PlayStation 4, so I can watch a movie or watch YouTube or play another game or this. And that's when I started thinking, man, sometimes old school gaming, it blanks out all the extra options that you have when you're playing on a console. You don't, like an old school console, you don't have everything at your feet to do whatever you want. So I really enjoyed that experience, and I had a lot of fun doing that, and makes me kind of want to go back and pick up some more PS2 games. Another crazy thing real quick before I pass it on, I was looking up different prices on games and consoles and things of that nature. I have a PSP, and I guess I should have gotten rid of it during COVID. If I was going to get rid of it, because now PlayStation portables are around $100. They were around $300 during COVID because nobody could get current consoles at the time. Currently now, most retro consoles are cheaper than most games that are available for retro consoles.
Yeah, especially I haven't really looked at the used game stuff in a few months, but I know last year I was definitely searching around because what I was looking for was RPGs and stuff like that. Is the prices on them are outrageous.
You can get a Dreamcast for under $200, but you can't get most Dreamcast games that you want to play for under $200.
One of the things that my older brother used to do when he was still living down here was he liked to collect sealed GameCube games. And
good luck with that one.
He was in a bidding war for a sealed copy of Pikmin. He got it for $96.
Right.
That sounds about right.
Because he did the scumbag move of 3 seconds in, put it in a bid, enter. It's mine.
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do in those situations.
And so I just remember just sitting with him in a bidding war, and he's gotten so many games that are uber expensive now.
Well, I got lucky because a couple years back I was at a St. Vincent de Paul thrift store that's actually out of a church, so it wasn't upcharging everything like the actual store does, and came across a GameCube for $5.
Damn.
And then I had to eventually find a controller and all the other things. But I have a working GameCube. Unfortunately, I only have 3 games for it. But fortunately, those games are Pikmin, Metroid Prime, and Rogue Squadron.
I should have never. I didn't have Pikmin because Pikmin just wasn't my thing. But I had the other 2, and I should have never sold those. But I still have. I have GameCube controllers and some games. But I got a Wii, so like you can play them on those.
You can play them. Yeah.
So I never worried about like not having a GameCube.
Yeah, if you got a Wii, you have a GameCube.
But I think I only have 3 games for it. I have Tales of Symphonia.
That's a good one.
Skies of Arcadia Legends.
That's a good one.
And Super Smash Bros. Melee.
Yeah.
Nice.
I should like Rogue Squadron, and I used to have Rogue Squadron and Metroid Prime, and I should have never sold those. I regret that.
Well, like back in the day,
Metroid Prime though you can find for a decent price because they just remastered it.
Right. Well, I mean, back in the day, you didn't think about it because games were cheap. And like for me, also at the time when depending on the job and how much money I was making, I would flip games all the time because if I beat a game, I'm not gonna typically I'm not gonna play it again, depending on the game, of course. And I have missed out on just all kinds of shit. Like I should have never got rid of Brave Fencer Musashi, Jade Cocoon, all these games.
Well, I kicked myself because back in the day, and weirdly enough, I saw that GameStop is now starting to carry older game system stuff now. Like I saw the one in D'Iberville had like PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, and something else, maybe Xbox 360 or something like that games.
They have to at some point in the near future.
The stock was terrible, and like they didn't have anything really interesting,
right?
But back in the day at GameStop, like you could get like when the PlayStation 2, or even like the PlayStation. Well, no, the PlayStation 2 was big. Like you could get really good PlayStation 1 games, like all the Final Fantasies that were on PlayStation 1.
Yeah, $20 or less.
$20 or less.
Yeah.
Xeno Saga.
Yeah.
No, Xenogears. Xenogears.
Yeah.
$20. All the
that was the average price.
All the old PlayStation 1 Personas. Super cheap, $20.
Yeah.
Like
I think I paid $20 for SMT3 Nocturne.
Yeah.
I got it for $20 used. Like all those games.
I should have bought them back then, but I never did.
I do have a stack of mostly obscure JRPGs on the system. Like I have Odin Sphere, I have Phantom Brave, I have Double Summoner 2, which is like one of the last ones that was released on it.
Yeah. It's if you're going to like collecting, like it's easier to get some stuff because now there are several places, or at least around here. Like you've got, but you have to be very careful with like, because they really overprice some things. Sometimes you can find it, but there's like, there's a game exchange you can go to. Okay, that's cool. And then there's a play and talk in Gulfport you can go to. But like sometimes you can find a good deal, and sometimes it's like, man, this is like really overpriced.
Yeah, and I don't want to keep going, but there's one more thing I do want to talk about. Game Exchange, like, no, you're good. To piggyback off what you said, Game Exchange, I've been there a couple times recently, and the problem with Game Exchange is like their selection for their retro games are shit. Because I understand that you want to keep stock on your shelves, but it doesn't look good when you have 40 copies of Connecticut.
Yeah.
And then the other half of your PS2 games are all Madden games.
Well, the only good, I've noticed that like the Game Exchange in D'Iberville, like the only good stuff there is, I basically go there and look for the Blu-rays. Because if you're looking for games, the only interesting stuff is in the case.
Right.
It's not on the shelves.
Right.
And it's
really high.
And it's really overpriced.
Yeah.
The last time I was in there, I noticed they had an inordinate supply of Pokemon Gengar tissue box cozies. I was like, what the what?
Yeah,
what
they
the
get
fuck?
they get some weird stuff.
They got some really weird stuff.
like
There
I
was
said,
like 400 Gengar in
like
there.
Blu-rays and like some of their other stuff. Like sometimes you can find some good like action figures or stuff like that. But like for the most part, like if you like, it's always a waste to just go looking through their shelves for like
because they
video
have
games.
the same stock almost every time.
It's the same stuff, and it's all like, here's 40 copies of NHL 2012, like, you know, and it's like I don't
Power
care
Drone or whatever that one game.
I don't
is. They
care
got
about
like
this.
1 million copies of those. Too.
Here's 16 copies of a bass fishing game.
Yeah,
Like,
10 copies of Bouncer.
I don't give a shit about
The
that.
bouncer.
The Bouncer.
I kind of want to own
The
that
bouncer.
one just to, as being a curio.
Yeah.
But that's such a square soft game from that era. It's like, let's start out as like we're the bouncers at this cool club, and then there's like sci-fi. Fuck, we're going into space. We're
I
gonna
remember
fight
when
people on a
the
space
PlayStation
station.
2 was coming out,
The launch titles.
I
yeah.
was like super excited for that one. And
Yeah,
then
I was
heard it was
too.
so bad, and I was
Yeah.
so disappointed because I really was like a Square Enix like fanboy at that
Well,
time.
there is one good thing you can try and do for the PS2, and that's get the launch collection because most of those games are not worth shit. Connecticut, Bouncer.
Oh yeah.
There's a few others I can't think of right now, but not so much for the PlayStation 1 because Battle Arena Toshinden is not $10.
Yeah.
That's me.
There's a good episode, launch titles for different systems, going over them and like talking about them and how good they were, how bad they were. Because most of them are bad, but sometimes they have some really good stuff. That's a good
Sounds good to me.
Neat.
Ethan, remember that down.
Okay, gotcha. In the vault.
Okay, like a steel trap.
What was it again?
Yeah. While you're remembering that down, tell us what you've been up to.
What I've been up to. Like Jody mentioned, with his Mashal experience, me and Bianca, we watched season 2 of Mashal.
Mm-hmm.
It is all the same excitement plus some more power drivers.
Okay.
It is absolutely amazing.
One good thing about that show that I may have said already, like the last time I talked about it, is that something that would normally take like at least multiple episodes, if not a season to finish an arc for, they do in not just one episode, 5 minutes. They do that so many times.
And like a lot of the times it is straight to the point. This is the issue at hand.
They don't fuck around.
What do you need to do? And he just goes, "I'm a punch it."
Yeah.
That's it. And then he accomplishes it. It is amazing.
The show's great because the show is the characters are more important than anything else that's happening because like I said when I mentioned it before, they're called the Magic Police. They don't give a fuck. The show does not care that they're ripping off Harry Potter and like
Absolutely
14
not.
other properties. There's some Twilight in there. There's some Harry Potter.
It continues.
I'm sure.
Heavy.
I'm sure it does.
It is still fantastic and amazing.
I mean, they basically ripped off Quidditch for an episode in the first season.
I'm not gonna spoil it.
Yeah.
But it comes back.
Oh, great. I can't wait.
Not the broomstick, but just the.
Oh yeah, of course.
It comes back and it is even better than the first time.
Look, I'm gonna give you a minor spoiler, just to encourage you to watch the show. There's a fight at one point where he's getting fucked up. Mash is getting completely fucked up, and the dude skewers him with a sword, and he's like, "Oh yeah, you're done for." And he tries to pull the sword out, and he goes, "Wait a minute. Are you holding the sword from inside with your abdominal muscles?" Yes, I am.
So I can punch
So
you.
I can punch the fuck out of you. I love that show.
It is nonsensical and amazing. And
It's the best kind of nonsensical show. I love absurdity, and it is the best absurd shit I've seen in a long time.
It is
also,
amazing.
anime dubbing has gotten a lot better since the old days. Just saying.
If by that you mean worse, yes. Ghost Stories forever.
Ghost Stories.
Well, Ghost Stories is an anomaly, much like Samurai Pizza
Put
Cats.
down the Krispy Kreme Serpico. God, they just let them do whatever they wanted.
Yeah, of course.
Blah, blah, blah. So yeah, Mashal. And while I was on the hunt for watching TV, I was scrolling on Disney Plus, and I saw that they have like the Hulu bundle with it.
They sure do.
They have Shogun.
You watched all Shogun.
No,
You're about to make Brady really mad.
I sometimes it'll advertise the show and like, oh, you need the Hulu bundle, whatever. And I just like clicked on it and said, play episode 1. I'm like, huh, surely this is not gonna let me. Click. It starts playing episode 1. I'm like, okay, it is on my to watch list, so I'm going to start watching Shogun.
Okay.
Ethan unknowingly had the Hulu bundle and didn't know it.
I don't have Hulu anymore. That's the thing. It's not even.
They let
Well,
you
you
watch.
better not. You better
Yeah,
stop
you
telling
better check
Disney
that
right
charge
now.
when it comes through.
Yeah.
So,
Let me tell you about my experience at Chili's not too long ago.
you went to Chili's willingly?
Well, actually,
You
Chili-
did a Willy Chili?
Yeah. So I went with my friends Alex and Ashley
Okay.
because they wanted to go.
Okay, gotcha.
Mhm.
We were already in the area, and I'll tell you this: Chili's has actually gotten a little bit better.
Huh.
But
well,
here's-
yeah, last time I went, it was actually not terrible.
But here's the thing: Chili's has this little like video game thing like sitting on the table.
oh yeah,
And if you touch it once, they charge you $4
wow.
Ooh.
because you initiated it. But the waitress said, I noticed that happened, but I didn't see you guys playing it. And it happens all the time. So she took it off our charge. But that is a gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you can't touch that console over there.
Yeah, they have the same thing at like the Olive Garden, the
Yeah.
Texas Roadhouse.
Yeah. And it's not like push this to start the game. It's like push this to choose a game. Didn't even choose a game. $4.
Yeah.
90% of the time that I go into a Chili's,
That's like the price of like one IHOP tea.
It is.
Yes.
I have it's like I have Alzheimer's
Mm-hmm.
because like I was like, oh, Chili's, okay. And then I sat down and I look at the menu and I was like, there's not a goddamn thing here that I want to eat.
I
knew that this was going to be the thing. Although, like I said, last time I went a few months ago and it wasn't too bad because they had like a sampler thing that was actually pretty
I
good.
got the barbecue brisket sandwich and it was delicious.
See, last time I went there, I went there and got a barbecue and got some kind of barbecue thing, and it was like 3 or 4 things, and it was like all bad. It
Oh,
was
no.
so bad.
All of my experiences with chili has been absolutely not good.
I did used to go when I worked at Walmart. We had a Chili's that got put in like right next door. So we would go over there for lunch, and then because it was happy hour all the time, we would try and get just enough drunk that we felt that we were buzzed.
For legal reasons, this story never
But
happened.
you couldn't tell. I haven't worked at Walmart for fucking ever. I don't give a fuck if
they'll
hear.
come for you.
Sure, they can. What do I have to lose? But yeah, just enough to where you couldn't tell it.
Right.
At least I don't think we could.
So there was an item on the Chili's list called chicken crispers.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember if this is the one down here or if it was the one in Memphis that we went to, but there weren't like anybody there. And it was like an afternoon. It was like, this should have been our first fucking till. I ordered the chicken crispers. They came out and the bowl they came in was completely filled with bubbling grease.
Oh.
Yeah,
And I
that
went,
sounds about right.
Excuse me. Were these taken directly out of the fry, like with the grease? Picks up the plate, doesn't say anything, goes, and as they're going back into the thing, I can hear, "You forgot to drain the oil again."
Not again.
And so from then on, we called them chicken saugers.
Yeah, that's about right. That's about right.
That's-
How do you not drain the grease? Why are you taking them out of the fryer with grease with them?
Right.
I wouldn't have expected any more
absolutely
from
not.
Chili's.
There's a
No.
strainer.
Yeah,
Are they putting whole plates into the grease?
probably. It's
Since-
Chili's.
I
Since
don't doubt
everybody
it.
else has talked during your segment, is there anything else you have
Yeah,
to say?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
During the
There is more.
snowpocalypse, I picked up a new game.
Okay.
I picked up Metaphor, ReFantazio.
Oh,
The same people
okay.
that made the Persona games.
Yep.
Yeah.
And man, do they have an equation that they have not strayed away from?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they have
This is
strayed
true.
away from that equation since
Persona 2 wasn't
Yeah.
like that.
right.
So-
3 was
so
the first.
3.
3 was the
fir-
first one they started
Yeah.
doing that in.
3 was the first one where they started doing that.
Imagine Persona, but medieval times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That is it. It is caught my attention heavily. I've already put 40 hours into the game.
Hell yeah.
I had a choice of getting that one or the Persona 3 Reload during
Black
Friday, and I chose to get the Persona Reload. Still haven't played it because that's how I am with video games, but you know.
The main theme is the king got assassinated,
Okay.
and you're trying to kill the guy that killed the king, who is also in a running to become the new king.
Of course, yeah, that makes sense.
And it is not whimsical, but a lot of fantasy mixed in with
Tropey.
the Persona gameplay.
Right.
It is amazing.
Do you have the same social structures?
Yes.
You have social links. From what I've heard, like the social links are not as much of a most people that I've watched reviews of, they've said like the social links are good, but they're not like a main draw like most of the other Persona games are. It's like the combat is like really good, and like the way that works.
There's been, depending on who you like increase your bond with, it affects in combat abilities and open world abilities. So
I think 4 was ridiculous with the amount of social links that you had.
And I think I enjoy it better than when I played Persona 5, honestly, because like the social aspect isn't too
overwhelming,
not overwhelming. You're not tied down with.
It's not as strict of like a schedule that you're keeping to.
Like the objectives that you're having to do during each act, you don't have a specific. You have a specific deadline, but it's not as overwhelming as it is with Persona, because Persona 5 you juggle school, a job, if you're trying to get money.
4 is the same,
because there's like 3, 4, and 5 are all the same with that, because you have that structure, and I imagine that with this in like a fantasy made up world, you don't really have that structure necessarily,
which is good because that clock just keeps going and you're like
that's why I always start them, but I never finish them because it is so stressful. And
3 wasn't as bad as 4 and 5, but
the more you play the game, there's an ability where you can actually see the progression table of increasing certain bonds, so that way you can hard focus on, let me get this bond strengthened.
Yeah,
that's good.
That's cool.
So it's a lot more manageable.
That's definitely one I need to pick up.
Yeah.
I'm fairly enjoying it.
I'm probably not going to pick up another game until April, because that's when the Lunar Collection comes out, and then I'm going to play that.
Ooh. What system is that coming out for?
Switch, PS4, I think PS5.
And also, Suikoden 1 and 2 are
Suikoden 1 and 2 are coming out.
Damn.
I think this year's gonna be a good.
I want to get the Suikoden one because I like Suikoden. But like Lunar, that's my thing.
Switch is the reason why. Switch is JRPGs is the reason why I got a Switch.
Yeah,
like 110%.
They have a good selection.
They have a ridiculous. I still need to get like
later this year. Switch 2.
Yeah,
Switch 2.
That
but
I'm not like.
I'm not worried about that for the next couple of years, but like I still need to get like Unicorn. I still need to get Triangle Story or whatever that one is. I still need to get Live Alive. Yeah, Triangle Strategy, like the
Don't
Unicorn.
Forget Dragon Quest 3 2D3D.
Dragon Quest, like
Sea of Stars is really good.
Yeah, Sea of Stars. Like there's so many.
Yeah.
Sea of Stars is actually on a PS Plus.
Well, here's the thing with JRPGs. If they're on the Switch, I try and get like the physical copy on the Switch.
Gotcha.
I'm not getting digital versions of JRPGs on the PlayStation unless they are ridiculously cheap or free.
I see that.
Yeah. But yeah, that's me.
All right. Jay, what have you been up to?
Marvel Rivals. Eric Lyncher, also known as Eric Magnus, also known as Magneto, which was established.
He's got like 3 other names too.
In the X-Men video arcade game, the Master of Magnet. He is a vanguard in Marvel Rivals. He is a anchor point for your team. He is stalwart and resolute. However, thanks to Marvel Rivals, I have discovered one secret weakness of Magneto. Ethan, what is Magneto's secret weakness?
Is it a shotgun to his fucking skull?
All right, well, what do you think it is, Jody?
A shotgun to his fucking skull.
What do you think it is, Brady?
I'm going to go with a shotgun to his skull.
The answer is a shotgun blast to the back of the head.
Yeah.
And that it completes the rule of 3 and the joke is done. Thank God. Yeah, no, like a Magneto goes into a room with the Punisher. Who comes out?
Punisher.
Strangely enough, the Punisher.
Should not be the Punisher.
Not in a million years.
Unless
Punisher's shotgun in close range is one of the deadliest. Not in Rivals.
Right.
In all of like first and third person gaming, dangerous weapons of all time. It is
Punisher
fucking
with a
ridiculous.
shotgun.
And Magneto has got shit to get around that. He has a personal bubble that will like absorb damage and he doesn't take damage. He also has a full on front shield that extends like about 3 times in front of him, like in a rectangle, and like nothing's getting through that. Like he's got all of that. No, it doesn't matter. Fucking Remy to the back of the fucking skull. Fucking we should have known the Punisher is the one true living embodiment of death in the Marvel universe. This is the way it is.
Hey, did Warren Ellis program the
Garth
Ennis? Did he
Garth
fucking
Ennis.
program? I get them two
No, it's okay.
mixed
it's okay.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah, did he program Marvel Rivals?
He does look like his
Because he's
Frank,
the only
like legitimately the way his artwork, he looks like his Frank Quietly version.
Damn.
So yeah, so it is possible because Ennis and Quietly are a pair.
Mhm,
So but yeah, no, I've been enjoying Marvel Rivals. I really love what they've done with Invisible Woman and Mr. Fantastic. I can't wait for Johnny Storm and the Thing to show up here in a couple weeks.
Right.
So I'm really looking forward to that. So yeah, so it's been good there. And now I'm introducing a new segment to the show. It's called Rookie Watch. It's whenever I want to tell you about the batshit crazy things that are going on in The Rookie, which is a 1 hour teledrama comedy.
You told us about this, and I did not put 2 and 2 together.
From the
actually
American
was.
Broadcasting Company, otherwise known as ABC. So I told it's been slow. It's been slowly starting to build up. But Jenna Dewan is back. Her character is married to Nathan Fillion's character, and he's very scared for her because her ex-husband is like a really powerful criminal who can convince anybody of it. Remember when I said like there's like actual fucking like supervillains? This dude is kind of like the Purple Man. Like he just makes people believe fucking anything and it just works for no
or the
good
bad
goddamn
guy
reason.
in the Crow reboot.
Yeah, that could be it too. And so he escaped with another super criminal that they've had to deal with before, and now Nathan Fillion's scared for his wife, and his wife is I'm a strong, independent woman, don't need no serial killer, and so she wants to defend herself, but there's this dude that Nathan Fillion, his name's John Nolan, but if you're not gonna watch the show, it's Nathan Fillion.
Yeah.
So Nathan Fillion squared off with him, and he wants to like find like her ex-husband and kill him, but John Nolan doesn't do it because he's the most moral man on earth, and so his wife, played by Jenna Dewan, finds the guy. It's like, why are you looking after me? Hey, I'm trying to kill your ex-husband too. It's like, oh, really? And so she's conflicted. She has the dude's number who wants to kill her ex-husband, and she starts to throw it away. And then she talks with, and she starts getting scared. And so she gets the number out of the garbage. She puts it in her pocket as ominous music plays. Oh no! And you would think, okay, that's kind of like, but it's like it's convoluted. That's American. What? Hang on. So in the A plot of the show, there's a car wreck, and they open up one of the trunks of the cars, and there's a bound and gagged woman who's been stabbed and beaten.
Okay.
And so they take her to the hospital. She's like, I was kidnapped by a serial killer, and he's all these things he was going to do to me, but then the car wreck happened, and so I'm saved by a car wreck. And then the serial killer calls them and goes, I want to turn myself in because you found her, and so it's not too long before you find me. And so the detective ladies are interviewing him. It's like, I can take you to the bodies. And so they take him to the bodies, and it's played like a David Fincher music video.
Oh God.
It sounded
I was
like,
about to tell you, it sounds like whoever wrote this like the day before they just watched Seven.
it sounded like they were playing it to Bauhaus. I'm not 100% sure on that because I had to go in and out because the show's on, but I also have to do the job, and so I'm back and forth when I can get to break time.
Right.
And so I go in there and like they start digging up bodies and they're all in these green tarps. It's like, yeah, this is the whole area where they are. And then the dogs, they brought out the dogs to sniff out the bodies.
Right.
They go far afield and they find more bodies. And the serial killer goes, those are not mine. They found a second copycat serial killer. And it's like, what? How much fucking crazier can this get? Wait! They go to the serial killer's old sanitarium and said, we want the names of all the people who dealt with the serial killer. And so they get a warrant. And it's like, I'm not giving you that because of the sanctity, because not all crazy people are evil. It's like, we just want the names, bitch. And so they leave. But as they're leaving, one of them notices one of the old buildings is covered in the green tarps that all of the bodies were covered in. Oh, shit. So they go into the sanitarium alone and unaided, and it's a literal fucking horror movie. It's just a fucking horror movie. This show can go from action to drama to fucking straight up fucking horror because they get separated, because they start hearing screaming. It's another victim, but they've saved him, but they split up for some reason, and so the other one's alone, and they look up and there's a dark figure, and they turn on a light, and she shoots at the light, but it's a mirror. The guy comes from behind her and shoots a paralytic into her fucking legs, causing her to be paralyzed. She starts shooting blindly into the night. And then her friend finally shows back up. The person who went with her, instead of calling back up like fucking goddamn cops should, if you're gonna go into a dark fucking desolate fucking sanitarium, and she rescues her, but the killer is still on the loose. That's Rookie Watch for this week, ladies and gentlemen.
I can't top that, but I'm going to tell you about an experience I had earlier this week.
Okay.
I was watching YouTube, and an ad came on, and I was halfway paying attention and halfway not paying attention, and I was on my phone. And it was an ad, but it was actually the first episode of a show called The Hunting Party on NBC. Now, here's the thing. They've been doing this recently on YouTube. If an ad pops up for a full episode of a show, there won't be any ads for the show you're watching because you're already watching an ad. So I said, well, fuck it. I'll watch it. You know, it looks interesting. So the premise of this show is this lady is ex-FBI. She works at a casino. These guys show up from the CIA, and she's like, do I have my old job back? And they're like, we'll talk about it later. So they show a scene, and it's like in the middle of Kansas, and they have both a secret prison and a large hadron collider experimental program going on underneath Kansas crop fields. Okay, so this place explodes, and the only two people that survive are one of the guards from the facility and a serial killer that she so happened to coincidentally put to death sentence like before she got taken off of the force from the FBI. So they got her so they could track him down because she knows all of his like little quirks and whatnot and what his motives are for being The Hunting Party. It's like the X-Files meets maybe The Rookie, because it's pretty wild.
I forgot. Next week, Jenna Dewan gets run over by a car. They've been teasing it, and then they made the next week trailer. Like, yeah, she gets fucking destroyed by a car.
What streaming service is this show on? Hulu.
Why do I feel like this is going to end up being like a secret prequel to the Green Lantern TV show that's about to come out?
And you mean like fucking like John Nolan's been fucking Guy Gardner
the whole time?
Man, I need that.
Well, it's just the way that they're
Rookie
like
to do a hard crossover into Green Lantern,
escalating things. Like it feels like that's how it's going to end.
Every single one of their quote unquote main villains is like literally like Lex Luthor level stupid.
What
like it's insane.
Season are they on right now?
7.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
No, the first 2 seasons I would catch off and on. And
it was just a normal show.
It's a cop procedural about a man who, well past the age he should becoming a rookie cop, becomes a rookie cop. And then, like somewhere after season 2, they were just
for 7 years.
Yeah, no, he's
After
a training
season-
officer now,
after
and he's
season-
training rookies.
After season 2, it goes off the rails. Is that what you're saying?
It slowly starts going off the rails. Like when the CIA first gets involved, and they like they have to like arrest a guy from the CIA because he killed a dude and they're cops, so like murder. But they find out the CIA was doing because it involved billions of dollars worth of hush money that they used to, and then it's like, okay, that's when it started. It's like, okay, we can go a little far, and then they don't fucking care.
All of those network TV shows like that are made to be able to go forever, especially if it's like a procedural, they start going off the rails pretty quickly because you run out of things that you can do. Like if you look at like the things that went on in like the earlier, because I'm going to use Criminal Minds because that's, you know, my ex, like that's what she fucking watched, so I had to fucking watch it. Like the stuff that they were doing in the early seasons and then compared to the stuff in the later seasons is like, Jesus Christ, what the fuck is going on? Because it just gets so outlandish and so over
They
the
even
top.
did that with old like nighttime soaps, and I call them nighttime soaps because that's what they were, but with higher production. Falcon's Crest, Dallas, Dynasty. They were all nighttime soaps, and they all at one point would just go fucking crazy because eventually people get bored of the same shit over and over again.
Yeah,
I don't even know how Grey's Anatomy got to 17 seasons because I can't. Know. They didn't have aliens show up on that show.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck's going on there.
Well, we don't actively watch. They might have.
I'm sure I would have heard that aliens showed up on Grey's Anatomy.
This. Special Victims Unit has been on the air so long, it has created sex acts. There were there are sex acts that did not exist that were presented on Special Victims Unit.
Oh my God.
And then became things.
Oh no.
That sounds about right.
Rainbow parties.
Yeah.
I don't want to
Rainbow parties did not exist before Special Victims Unit. It was in an episode of Special Victims Unit, and then it became a thing.
Oprah also had a big deal with that.
Yeah, that is true as well, yes.
I'm listening to her Behind the Bastards episodes right now. She helped create that as well. But is there anything else?
I had to end on Rainbow. There's nothing left in the tank.
What do you have left?
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Okay, well, I really didn't do anything that I feel like talking about or that was of any interest, to be honest. So I want to take a little time to talk about two things. I was going to talk a little bit more about the Oscars, but I got shit to do in the morning. So the only thing that I'm really going to talk about is the fact that The Substance got a whole bunch of nominations, and I'm really happy about that. That's really, really cool. Demi Moore got a Best Actress nom. It got Best Director. It got Best Director nom. It got a Best Picture nom. I can't remember. I think Margaret Qualley may have gotten a Supporting Actress nom. I think it got a writing nom as well. So it got like a lot of the big stuff. So that's really cool. Probably won't win. Maybe I think Demi Moore has a chance to win, but I don't think it's going to win Best Picture because oftentimes they there's like 10 movies that they nominate for Best Picture.
I have the list if you want to know.
And they'll usually just look and see if Margaret Qualley got Best Supporting, because that's the only thing I'm not 100% sure of. But they usually will throw some things in there. They're like kind of, either out there picks or
Actress in a Supporting.
Yeah.
Who was it again?
Margaret Qualley.
No.
Okay. Well, but yeah, it like, or some blockbusters or stuff like that, and they'll.
What's the best movie nominations?
Best Picture is going to be Honora.
Yeah.
The Brutalist.
Mm-hmm.
A Complete Unknown.
Yeah.
Conclave.
Yeah.
Dune Part 2.
Yeah.
Emilia Perez.
Yeah.
I'm Still Here.
Yeah.
Nickel Boys.
Mm-hmm.
The Substance.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say Nickelback. My apologies. I'm sorry.
And Wicked.
Yeah. So like they throw things like Wicked on there, Dune Part 2, even though it's never
if Dune Part 2 wins, I'm gonna shit out a whole Chalamet.
Yeah.
Apparently, things I've heard about Emilia Perez absolutely sucks.
Yeah.
That is from a lot of people that I've seen.
Apparently, that's what the internet consensus is.
Well, it's a movie about a transgender person who they were a like Mexican gang cartel leader, and they like go into hiding and transition into being a woman. It's a musical, and it was made by a Frenchman who has never been to Mexico.
Oh, okay.
And didn't have any like actual. It had like people of like Mexican descent in it, but it didn't have any like actual Mexican people involved in writing it. And the guy has also said some like really
insensitive
things about Mexican people and Mexico. So it was, and it was also had like nobody who had anything to do with it has anything to do with being transgender except for like the lead actress. So like there's a lot of like insensitive like things that like this. It really felt like this is not really your thing to make,
right?
Because he really seems like he's up on his own ass. So that's the things that I've heard about that. I haven't watched it. I'm probably not going to watch it because it just does not seem like an interesting movie to me. But it's got some really cringy. The musical numbers like are really fucking cringy.
The list for best animated looks really good.
Yeah.
Flow, Inside Out 2, Memoir of a Snail, which I've heard nothing but good things about.
That's the only one. I wasn't familiar with that one. I've actually heard of Flow, and Flow looks very interesting.
Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul.
Yeah, I appreciate Wallace and Gromit, but I don't like those movies.
And The Wild Robot.
I need to watch The Wild Robot.
I do too.
I have not seen Flow, but man, Wild Robot is so good. It is
so good. I really need to watch it.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, but there's some interesting things with this, and people are also thinking that like Emilia Perez is like one of those movies that like draws votes in the Oscar because it ticks a lot of things. And it's one of those that they can. It's a movie where they can kind of make. It's kind of like Green Book was, where they can vote for it and put it as Best Picture or whatever, and make people feel. And it makes them feel better about it when it really is not a good movie to be like representative of anything. So yeah. But The Substance probably isn't going to win Best Picture. It'd be really cool if it did. I'd lose my shit if it did.
It's not going
I'm really pulling for Demi Moore to win Best Actress.
Mm-hmm.
I think she is actually in the running for that.
Best Actress, I did see her in there.
Yeah, she's in that.
Cynthia Erivo,
Yeah.
Carla Sofia Gascon for Emilia Perez.
Yeah.
Mickey Madison, Demi Moore, and
I need to watch Anora. Anora is a movie that I'm really wanting to watch because the director Sean Baker, I like all of his other movies. He did The Florida Project and what's the Red Rocket. I've liked both of his other movies a lot, and I'm really looking forward to that.
Man, Emilia Perez has so.
Yeah, it got like 13 nominations.
I count 12 Oscar nominations.
I think it got 13, if I'm not mistaken, but 12. It might be 12.
I'll count them. I'll give you a number.
It might be 12. But yeah, I don't know. I talk and I follow the Oscars, but like in the end, I understand that it doesn't matter. I basically watch them to bitch about them and to think and to like as a thinking exercise of like what you know.
Well, it's also water cooler talk.
Yeah,
you know,
and really all the awards like I follow. Like I'm really excited that Demi Moore won the Golden Globe. Although the Golden Globes kind of don't mean shit anymore.
Right.
But it's really cool that she won. I really appreciate that. If you get a chance, watch her Golden Globe acceptance speech because it was really cool. But there's that. I also wanted to talk a little bit about.
My apologies, but let me at least say this, and then we can move on.
Yeah.
The fact that Denis Villeneuve did not get a Best Director nomination for Dune Part 2 is fucking disgusting to me.
Yeah.
That movie is exactly what, in my opinion, cinema is.
Right.
100%.
Oh, yeah.
And the fact he was not nominated makes me fucking sick.
Yeah.
This is one of the first years where I still... Like the Demi Moore angle, I'm still curious about. I'm always curious about who's going to win Best Picture. But like that to me is just fucking disgusting.
You know, a movie did get nominated for Best Directing. Emilia Perez.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because it
13 nominations.
It got nominated for everything.
Yeah.
But and again, like I have heard that it is not the greatest movie. I'm probably not ever going to watch it because I try and watch a lot of as many as the Best Picture nominees as I can before the Oscars happen. But there's always like one or two where I'm just like, I'm not gonna bother, especially if it's on something like I'm not getting Netflix just to watch it. But yeah, Denis Villeneuve not getting it. That's a big not great thing. But they will oftentimes like, did he get nominated for part 1?
I don't believe so. No.
Yeah, that makes sense. There's a lot of problems with the Oscars. We could have a whole episode of that.
I believe we have had an episode on it. I think we did.
Yeah.
I'll take your word for it. I don't remember.
Pretty sure we did.
I don't recall as much, but anyway. The other thing that I wanted to talk about was we lost a very
Speaking of Dune.
cool dude since we last had an episode, and that one cool dude is one David Lynch. He is telling God the number for the day now. He had been in poor health for a while. I think about a couple of months ago, it was reported that like he can't, when he directs, like he can't actually go to the place. He has to like direct remotely now because he just has emphysema so bad. So it was kind of, the writing was on the wall because the man smoked like a chimney. So I wasn't really surprised when they were like, oh, he's dead. But it was sad because he was like a singular figure. If you haven't watched any David Lynch stuff, I would suggest like trying it, because he is like a very singular filmmaker. Like when you watch a David Lynch movie, you know you're watching a David Lynch movie.
Yeah, I mean, like, so for me, you can kind of watch his style develop to where he gets to, because like he starts with like Eraserhead, and Elephant Man, and I believe that was Lynch.
Yes,
I'm currently looking.
And
at
then
it.
and then you have Dune, and then you have Blue Velvet, and Blue Velvet basically starts his whole like noir.
They gave him Dune off of the Elephant Man and Eraserhead. That is insane. The 80s were a whole fucking thing.
I'm going to say this again.
Yeah.
He was a front runner for Return of the Jedi.
Which would have been insane.
But yeah, so like when he does Blue
but
Velvet,
Lucas wouldn't have been able to like bully him around like he did anybody else.
I go to Skywalker Ranch, and he's showing me these things called Wookiees, and I started having a pain right here in my head, and that when he's talking about that is fucking amazing.
And after Blue Velvet, ABC's like, hey, make a TV show, and it goes, Twin Peaks, Fire Come Walk With Me, the movie, which they made to try and finish the TV show that got canceled but didn't.
So there was 2 seasons of
3 seasons.
Hold on.
Okay.
There was 2 seasons. There was 2 seasons of Twin Peaks originally.
Yeah.
Then they had Fire Walk With Me, which was a prequel, which is telling how
she,
the things that led up to her death.
Right.
It starts with the death of Laura Palmer.
Right.
I think it's Laura Palmer.
Yeah,
right?
Laura Palmer.
I haven't watched the show. I'm going to try it. Like when there's a set that's coming out pretty soon called the Z to A that I really want to get and try and watch the whole series. And then like not a couple of years ago, they had Twin Peaks: The Return, which was, I guess, kind of finished. It's hard to say with the Lynch thing because everything is so weird, and the way he does things is so kind of. And I've heard, like, I've watched some stuff on like the newer things, and it gets really weird. So it's hard to say if like this is a finishing thing,
right?
But I think he finished what he wanted to do with the story at the very least. We can say that.
Well, in between like season 2 and the movie and the 3rd season of Twin Peaks, we have like Lost Highway.
Yeah,
which was a big deal in the mid 90s. I remember that like everybody went to go see that because it had a banging soundtrack, like 9 Inch Nails. I think had a song on there as well.
Perfect Drug. I remember that specifically, and that is one of my favorite 9 Inch Nails songs.
Also, after that, he did Mulholland Drive.
Yeah. Which is a movie that I really like and will never watch again because there are parts of that frighten the ever-living shit out of me.
I still haven't seen. That's the only one I haven't seen by him because I've heard things. So
there are some really disturbing. Yeah. There's a couple of really particularly disturbing things.
But I've seen everything else by him.
I haven't watched a lot of him.
You've seen Inland Empire?
I have not seen that.
Okay.
But I mean, up until that point in time.
But Mulholland Drive is very good. He has this weird, like, he is a very like, all of his movies are weird except for The Straight Story, which is it's basically just like a Disney movie. I think.
It is a Disney movie. I was about to say that.
But he has a very interesting style and he has a very singular vision with his things. And I like that he goes out of his way to not explain things.
Right.
Like there's a very famous interview he's being interviewed by some British dude, and he's like, yeah, they're talking about Eraserhead. He's like, oh, this is my most spiritual movie. And the guy was like, oh yeah, speak on that. And he's like, no.
he made a one season sitcom called On the Air.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. He's actually and you can actually like he actually does some acting in Twin Peaks. He's a character in Twin Peaks.
There's a short of his on Netflix where he talks to a monkey.
What did Jack do?
What did Jack do?
He's the one driving the spice hauler in 1984's Dune when he's under whose authority, and he goes, "You Duke Leto." It's like, oh yes, we're coming right out.
Yeah, his
Mommy,
acting role, him doing acting roles is always very interesting. He's actually in the most recent Spielberg movie, Meet the Fablemans, as John Ford, which is just beautiful.
John Ford was a weird fucker.
John Ford was a very weird fucker. But yeah, he like David Lynch is great.
There's also a 50-minute anthology called Rabbits, where it's three
that
rabbits.
Sounds about right.
That is where their entire life is interrupted by a laugh track, and they're trying to figure out where it came from.
I have not seen that.
Came out in 2002.
He always like does like marches to the beat of his own drum and does his own thing.
Oh yeah,
and he's a very interesting person. He's a very interesting filmmaker. For the longest, man had a YouTube channel and he did the same thing every day. He would tell you the weather, which is he would look out the window of his like the little high window of his basement, and tell you what the weather is, where he was at then. And then he had a jar with ping pong balls with numbers on them, and he would pull out and tell you what the day's number is. And there was a point in time where he was like, well, I'm kind of tired of doing this. I don't think I want to do this anymore. Like, does anybody even care about this? And then there was an outpouring of people like, please stop. It's like, oh, people really like this. I guess I'll just keep going.
I guess I'll just keep doing it then. Okay.
January 21st. It's 3:15.
Yeah.
And the weather is nice.
He's great. He's cool.
Oh, yeah.
I will say if you are a fan of David Lynch and you would like to see more, somebody that I would recommend is Yorgos Lanthimos. He does like weird singular visions that you'll watch a movie and you'll be like, what the fuck does this even mean?
Right.
Which is oftentimes when you finish a David Lynch movie, you'll go, what the fuck does this even mean?
I would say that for both him and Pasmos Cosmatos.
Yeah. Pasmos Cosmatos does the trippier, like he deals into like trippier psychedelic, and you don't, to me, that doesn't, that's
not the guy
a David Lynch
the
thing.
Mandy, Black Rainbow.
Yeah. Beyond the Black Rainbow.
Yeah.
See, I think of like the Water of Life scene from the '84 Dune, and I think that's literally a psychedelic scene. That's
true.
That's the reason why like Cosmatos probably resonates a little bit more with me, because you are right. Like he is, and Cosmatos is extremely visual. Like not just from Andy. I looked at clips from his other stuff on YouTube, and yeah, he really wants to go for like this. Like everything feels dreamlike with Cosmatos' work.
Yeah. Did he call a Color of Space?
No.
No.
That was not a super well known guy, or at least to me he was.
Gotcha.
But yeah,
but it was Nicolas Cage.
It was.
Yeah, it was Nicolas Cage.
It was a trippy H.P. Lovecraft movie.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Color Out of Space.
But anyway.
But yeah, David Lynch, the world is a little bit less bright because he is not in it. But yeah, definitely I would say check out at least some of his stuff. It's not for everybody.
No,
it's definitely not for everybody. But when you like, you watch it and it does, and you know, if it hits you good, it hits you really, really good. I would say.
Yeah, I have to agree.
like I said, I think one of the things I want to try and do this year is watch all of Twin Peaks. I really want to do that. Because I've never watched it and I really am interested in it. But yeah, so that's all I really have. Jay, do we have any feedback?
Yes. Hold off on that.
Okay. All right. Well,
holding.
Finish the rest of the thing.
That I can do that then. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being passengers here on the Omnibus. If you would like to leave feedback on this or any of our previous episodes, travelersontheomnibus at gmail.com. Again, travelers, 1L, on the omnibus at gmail.com. Jody Kite, how else can they get in touch with us?
Peacock. It's streaming the Royal Rumble this Saturday.
Yes, watch the Royal Rumble with one of us.
Spotify.
It'll be great. Yes, leave comments on any of our previous episodes and take part in any of our polls. Active and only active. If they're inactive, you cannot take part of them, unfortunately.
The pre-show's on Friday.
The pre-show's on Friday, and then the show's on Saturday.
Yeah.
It's still on Peacock?
How does it do? It's still on Peacock. Yeah, they still have those rights.
Yep.
But yeah, again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for joining us on the bus this week. If you would like to share this experience with friends of yours or enemies or just random strangers, but they do not listen to podcasts on the same channels you listen to podcasts on, we're available on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, YouTube Music, through our channel Travelers on the Omnibus, and iHeartRadio.
Well, I think that's going to lead us into our main topic and the delayed feedback, I guess.
Yes.
Jay, might we know what this mysterious feedback is?
Yes.
You're being very cryptic.
I'm being very cryptic. Okay. Well, if that is the case, we have a Spotify user, Seated Boxer. Brady, congratulations on your victory. This should definitely go on your resume. Thank you for picking TMNT knockoffs. I'm super excited about this episode. Keep up the good work, fellas. Hashtag biker mice for life.
Well, don't put your hopes up because we're probably going to disappoint you.
No,
at least I will.
But thank you, Seated. Thank you, Seated Boxer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, that name.
Yes, there you go. I'm trying to establish a parasocial relationship between the two of you, and you're ruining it.
And I'm doing my best to ruin it. I'm sorry.
By ruining it, you're making it easier.
Probably. Oh, we sound so relatable.
Yes.
We're humans just like you.
Technically, a bad relationship is better than no relationship.
I disagree.
Wow. I was going to say something mean, and I'm not going to.
His was going to involve his marital status.
I know what you were going to say.
Moving on.
What are we talking about tonight, Brady?
So we are talking
your marital status. No.
We are in.
Now he's
stroking.
Muppet.
You know he's
he's a Muppet.
Yeah, that was actually a stroke.
That was a
That was a
stroke.
full-on stroke. You could tell by the gurgling.
Please don't have a stroke because all of my first aid stuff is expired, so I technically am not allowed to help you.
Here's how. Okay, if you believe someone is having a stroke, you immediately call 911 and you insist that they get taken to the nearest stroke center. If you send them to just any fucking hospital and they don't have a stroke center, they can't fucking do anything, and they send them to the stroke center, you have lost minutes, possibly hours, and then it's going to be really bad for that person.
But see, I'm not qualified to do that anymore because my first aid stuff is expired. Moving on, we are talking about tonight, whenever the fuck you listen to this, kind of in a way the legacy of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This was a very important part of my childhood, and it had a very big effect on the popular culture at large, and it led to a lot of knockoffs. A lot of people trying to ape the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle formula.
Copycats, if you will.
Copycats. Charlatans. Bamboozlers. All of the above.
In order for us to talk about knockoffs, though, we have to talk about a brief history.
What is the origins?
What is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, or as I will probably call it from now on because that's a mouthful, TMNT. TMNT started in 1984 as a comic book put out by Mirage Studios by
and white.
Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. And it was a lot of people who, I didn't know this until I was a little bit older because of course I grew up watching the cartoon, and we'll get to that in a second. It was a very dark and edgy comic, but it was doing that to kind of lampoon the dark and edgy things that were coming out at that time, because we had Daredevil. I believe Daredevil Born Again had happened. Some Frank Miller and the Watchmen was like the big thing. And these dark and edgy stuff that happened in that, like these were the comics that started this, and this was kind of like an aping of that. They were kind of like, how can we make turn everything up to 11, so to speak, and kind of lampoon this. And they did this by creating like some really basically by saying like, what is the most absurd thing that we could come up with, and that is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but they're dark and edgy and they're really cool. And a lot of the things that they were lampooning had to do with Daredevil. See, in Daredevil, he fights a group of ninjas called the Hand. So the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fight
the Foot
Clan. Daredevil's mentor is named Stick. So the Turtles' mentor is named Splinter. There were a lot of these things. Most people know about the Shredder, but the Shredder was actually killed in the first issue of the comic. He was not meant to be like a big overarching bad guy.
Huh.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. Leonardo runs him through with a sword in the very first issue. So yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
that's a fun fact.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting things with it. Eventually, like in 1987, they licensed toys. And this is where the big money is.
Except for one of the creators of the original comic book.
Yeah, there was a little bit of a split.
If you want to know more about that, you can watch the Toys That Made Us on Netflix.
Oh yeah,
they do a TMNT episode on there, and they talk about like how the one guy said, I'm not, this isn't really going anywhere. This is well before, anything like popped up with Playmates and to the TV show.
Yeah.
And sold the rights to the other guy for like a couple $100 or something. Because they weren't making any money off of the comic book because
Mirage Studios was a very like indie.
It was independent. Nobody knew about the comic book really until the show came out.
Mm-hmm.
And the comic book had been dead for a couple years, I think, or close to it.
Yeah.
About that time.
But the toys, like that's the real money maker. And just to break a little bit of the of probably your childhood, every TV show that you watched as a child, every cartoon was just made to be a commercial.
It was an advertisement
for the toys. Yeah. Especially in the 80s.
Oh yeah.
It was
and
really
speaking
bad.
of the 80s,
Yeah.
in 1987, the TMNT TV show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I didn't get the exact dates as to when the toys came out versus the cartoon. But between 1980, I do have it between 1988 and 1982, 1.1 billion toys for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were sold.
Because they were sick and awesome.
Yeah, they were. I fucking I loved the cartoon, but I also really was big into the toys of this. Like they were very toyetic. And I have so many. I didn't really get much of the bigger accessories like the turtle van or anything like that, but I had so many of the toys because they were just like they would come up with like off the wall things. It wasn't just the turtles.
Well, I mean, like I think the original first line was just like you had the regular turtles, you had like Shredder, you had
Bebop,
like
Rocksteady,
all
Splinter.
the main characters, like the foot soldiers and all that other stuff.
Yeah, the foot soldiers.
And then like by the time they put out the Technodrome. And everything else, they started like there was like the samurai version of the turtles, and then you have like robot versions of the turtles, and anything they could do. Really,
I always leaned towards getting I never had a regular version of any of the turtles. Like I had a baseball player Raphael,
right?
I had a punk Donatello with a mohawk. I had like a futuristic cyber samurai Leonardo,
right?
Or I had, and then they was like, what weird mutant dude can we make? So I had like a dude who was part elephant, and I had a dude who was part dragon, and I had a dude who was part, what was one of the other ones that I had? A dude that was like a bull, like a red bull. Like it was all weird shit. But yeah, the cartoon also came out in 1987, and this was like
America woke
God,
up and went, "Oh shit, this is amazing."
I fucking watched this so much. You know, I watched it every chance that I could on when it came on TV. But I also had a couple of I had the first like 3 or 4 episodes on videotape, and I rewatched those so many times. And then there was also a videotape of an episode that I got from I think
Pizza Hut.
Pizza Hut.
Yeah,
I think it was Pizza Hut.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and before all was said and done, there have been like 5 cartoon series of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yeah. That first one ran for a pretty good while. I know, when it ran, it started like a year after I was born, but I remember it going on into, well into the 90s, I think, with that. There, 1989, they had the NES game that came out.
Yeah.
Which that was one I never played that one, but I played all of the the arcade,
the Turtles in Time.
I played Turtles in Time a lot, and I also the one that was just Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles,
the arcade game.
Yeah,
which were both beat 'em ups.
Yeah, they were both beat 'em ups. I remember playing that with my brother.
Anybody could beat that game if you had enough quarters.
Yeah. Which is not the case for the NES game.
No, you would have had to have like a lot of money.
Yeah. And then in 1990 we get the live action movie. And that kind of, reinvigorated the franchise really. All being told they had 3 movies by the end of that. They rebooted it a couple of times. I know that there was a super serious Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that was less silly and more serious. And that came out in the I think it was about the mid 2000s.
TMNT 2007.
Yeah, 2007.
Yeah, it's about the time of that first movie where you start getting a lot of rip-off and knockoffs starting to pour out.
Yeah. Yeah. Does anybody have anything else they want to talk about with the
Turtles? No, I don't think so. With the actual Turtles proper. I mean, like I said, like the original cartoon ran in syndication from 87 to 92, and then by the time the movie started coming out, they started what's up, Ethan?
Went on to 96.
Right.
Yeah.
But they had a break in between the show didn't run for 7 years straight. They had it was on. I think it was originally on CBS. I want to say.
I don't remember. See, by the time I remember watching it, it was already.
I believe it was originally on CBS, and it was one of the few original cartoons on CBS at the time when the show started dying off.
Yeah,
that they weren't showing cartoons on network television anymore in the morning on Saturday mornings, with the exception of ABC. But it's about the time that the first movie comes out is when you start getting your parodies, and all.
Well,
that.
All these all these big executives start seeing the
dollar signs,
that this, because this is like a huge property. It's like I want to say when I looked on I think it was on Wikipedia where it was like something of like a $6 billion franchise.
Yeah.
So the lesson that they learn from this is, hey, let's take an animal and make them humanoid and put them in cool tubular cowabunga situations
with vehicles and accessories.
So we can just put out so many fucking toys. Again, all of this is to make toys because that's where you make most of your money. In this is toys and licensing and little accessories and all this other stuff,
and maybe even comic book crossovers. Some of these do have. Mostly Biker Mice from Mars.
Yeah. So we got the first one that I got is probably when people think of like TMNT ripoffs. I think this is probably the first one that most people think of, and that's Street Sharks. Street Sharks. These were like 4 brothers, and they got they got experimented on. Their DNA got mixed with sharks, so one becomes like a great white shark. But they're all like human. They're basically like giant shark heads with arms and legs,
and they're buffed out of their mind.
Yeah, they're buff out of their mind. One's a
tiger shark.
One's a tiger shark with skates, because you got to have like something cool and radical.
When did Street Sharks come out? Ethan, look it up for me, because I'm pretty sure Tiger Sharks came before Street Sharks.
Tiger Sharks I'm not familiar with.
Tiger Sharks.
This is a less like this was not on any of the ones, because I looked because I did a lot from memory, but then
94.
What
for Street Sharks?
Street Sharks is 94, so that's super late in the parody game. Look up Tiger Sharks, a Saturday cartoon show.
Yeah,
what the fuck is this?
This is not one that I'm familiar
and
with.
Tell me what year did it come out?
87.
87.
This was like
the same year.
This might have been them actually like just one of those weird parallel thinking things.
It could be. I believe it was. I can't remember if it was part of the comic strip lineup or not. But what else is it saying, Ethan?
What do you mean? What else is it saying? I'm sorry, I got really like startled by this.
By what?
Just the
by
image
the imagery. Yeah, sure.
It's
you know what? This might have been more of a ripoff of Thundercats.
But it came out the same year.
It came out. No, I think this is legitimately. Oh, this is a spin-off of Thundercats. That's why it looks like that.
Wow.
Yeah, it's part of the Thundercats wiki.
God, what the
Yeah. Okay.
That's wild.
This is interesting.
That it came out the same year as
TMNT.
TMT.
That's
but
crazy.
It's more of a ripoff of Thundercats.
Yeah.
I am well aware of Tiger Sharks.
That is interesting. Tiger Sharks is not one of, and I loved Thundercats, but like again, that was a little bit like I caught it at the end.
I don't remember it, but I just hope that it starts with Tiger Sharks. Oh!
That was we
Tiger Sharks are on the loose. Tiger Sharks are.
But yeah, so you got your Street Sharks. This is definitely a ripoff. Had some pretty cool toys. Because the creatures were very toyetic. One of the guys was a great white, but for some reason he had like jeans and cowboy boots.
Like you do.
Yeah. You had one guy was Big Slamoo. I think he was the whale shark, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And then there was a hammerhead, I think.
There was a hammerhead.
And then they fought a dude who was like half piranha.
There is a show that is, to me, what almost feels like a ripoff of Street Sharks, Extreme Dinosaurs.
Yeah. Well, this is like they literally Extreme Dinosaurs is basically Street Sharks, but they get changed into dinosaurs instead.
What year did that come out?
And then
it was after Street Sharks, because they literally were introduced in Street Sharks. Like it's a spin-off of Street Sharks.
And they yell "Get fossilized" whenever they pummel you.
Fossilized.
Yeah, there's T-Bone, Stegs, Bullseye, Spike,
97.
Hard Rock. It literally was started
super late.
Started on, I think it was like the 3rd season of Street Sharks. It started
because I want to say like Biker Mice from Mars is like early 90s.
Yeah, Biker Mice
like
from
91
Mars.
or 92 or something like that.
Biker Mice from Mars is one of my personal favorites. I loved watching that as a kid.
That has Super Nintendo game.
Ah, okay. But yeah, that one was really cool because you have these anthropomorphic mice with antennas because they're from Mars.
They're on Mars
and they get
with
transported.
Motorcycles.
Yeah,
on bikes.
They have really kick-ass motorcycles.
Yeah.
One of them has a robotic arm that he shoots missiles out of. That's pretty cool. One of them has like a Kano faceplate.
And the bikes, not only can they ride drive on roads, but they also fly.
Yeah. And they fight the Plutarchans.
Of course they do.
That.
Cowboys of Moo Mesa.
Cowboys of Moo Mesa.
Wild West Cowboys.
Yeah, which are anthropomorphic cows. That are in the
what year did that come out in? I need to know.
And it's not cowboys. It's COW.
Yeah,
boys.
C period, O period, W period, boys, because cow stood for Code of the West.
So
92.
Wild West,
92.
Code of the West.
They actually appeared in TMNT first. And then they got their own show.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because I was Cowboys of Moo Mesa feels like a Biker Mice from Mars. Like the people that did both of those, but I don't know any.
The creator of it, Ryan Brown, also worked on Ninja Turtles as well.
Yeah,
That makes 100% sense.
That makes sense. Yeah, a lot of these I don't remember a whole lot about because it felt like they were just here and gone.
See, I'm offended by this because the frogs came first, and they didn't give them their own series. I'm mad about this.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
The punk frogs.
Yeah,
Genghis Frog, Rasputin, the Mad Frog.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they didn't give them a series.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what? Used to be I liked them. No, fuck Cowboys and Moo Mesa. So frogs uber alles.
Speaking of frogs,
the comic strip.
Well,
no, more like a video game, perhaps.
Yeah, it could be also. Yeah, we've got one that became a video game. I don't think it really ever got a.
I think it was only it was a video game.
It had a cartoon.
It had a pilot episode for a cartoon that was not picked up, and it had most importantly a comic strip in Nintendo Power. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Battletoads.
Battletoads.
The hardest game I've ever defeated.
Yeah.
Oh my fucking god.
Man, that fucking
Turbo Tunnel.
Yeah. The fucking
the infamous tunnel.
Yeah. That one was really hard.
The timing on that it's not pixel perfect, but you have got to you have to know that as soon as you move up, move down, and just keep making that weave until the very
muscle
end.
memory.
So, but before we continue, I'd like to say something.
Okay,
sure.
I hate Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
All of these shows came out before I was born. So I did not grow up with the joy of watching these whenever they first came out.
Yeah.
So an interesting thing that I decided I wanted to do as part of my own research was I decided to put all of their opening intros into a ranking system.
Oh, okay.
Oh my god.
So
okay.
This is a good idea because the TMNT intro slaps.
So
yes.
Also, I've also included all of the TV shows of all iterations of TMNT.
Oh, okay.
To see where they stand in the rankings.
Okay.
And some of the shows that we've listed, we've already talked about.
Okay.
And they're on here.
Okay.
As well as others that we have not talked about yet.
Yeah.
Well, can we pause on the ranking until we get done with the rest of the little thing in here?
Absolutely.
Okay,
yeah, let's go through these. So we got something teased.
No, hijack the show, Ethan.
No, I'm not going to do that.
Hold on to your butts, and we'll get to that. That's a really cool thing. I appreciate.
Do you
that.
like Monster Energy drink because if you tip it on its side instead of an M, it looks like an E, and that's your name? I've always wondered this.
Or you could tip it on the other way.
Yeah, tip it the other side.
And it's the
an E.
number 3.
Okay. Oh.
Or if you tip it this way, it's the mark of the beast. All right, continuing on.
No, it's the W.
All right,
it's a W.
Another earlier one that growing up I didn't realize it. Like it's not as it was one that I thought about in hindsight when I was actually doing some research for this, and that's Samurai Pizza Cats.
Samurai Pizza Cats.
Yep. These were cats who had their own pizza company, and then they fought crime in
almost Gundam,
Japanese Gundam,
almost Gundam like.
Yeah, but they're not the size of Gundams. They're
they're not.
It's like body armor.
No, they're the size of cats. Like they're not even
more,
that
it's
tall.
more like Exo Squad.
So you know how Jay likes quoting and understandably so ghost stories on the dubbing. So Samurai Pizza Cats, the original Japanese dubbing, that show is actually really, really boring. Because whatever the American company got a hold of it, they didn't have to worry about any sort of translations of any kind, because at the time the Japanese company that they acquired the rights from didn't really care as long as they got a paycheck.
Yeah.
And so they just made up whatever the fuck they wanted to, and that show is batshit crazy.
Yep. Yep.
Samurai Pizza Cats is on the list.
Yes.
I'm
Yeah,
sure
it should be.
It's got a great opening.
It should be. What else we got? We also get in later, and some of these might. Before we get into some of the later ones, we also have SWAT Cats.
SWAT Cats.
Radical Squadron.
Squadron. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta spell cats with a K and a Z.
SWAT Cats.
Yeah.
So these are two cats that live in a junkyard, but they have a really cool plane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes a lot of things because this was in the 90s, a lot of things that happened in the 90s was we got to have a really cool vehicle.
Yeah.
This is how we get Thunder in Paradise. Don't look that up.
We got a boat.
Don't worry, he's part whale.
SWAT cats.
we got SWAT cats, the Radical Squadron. Everything
Let's
has to be
Play.
like super edgy in the 90s.
They combined cats with Airwolf.
Yeah, this is true. But then you've got like this kind of ones where it was never on any list that I found, but there was also and I don't really consider it like it was probably like it probably wouldn't have gotten made if it wasn't for TMNT, but I don't consider it a TMNT ripoff. But you also have things that come from what I think are more closely related to like gargoyles. But they're still definitely like a thing,
a group of weird
creatures. weird creatures.
I do have. There's another one that's similar to gargoyles.
Yeah, but I like I said, I don't consider gargoyles a ripoff because I feel like it does some different things, but I also feel like it wouldn't have been made if it wasn't for TMNT's success.
There is another show that came out in the 90s, Mummies Alive.
Mummies Alive. Mummies Alive was literally the one that I was leading up to.
I never watched Mummies Alive.
Oh,
However,
man, it's fantastic.
Fucking love Mummies Alive.
I saw the opening, and man, do I want to watch it.
Yeah.
The animation on it is fucking spectacular.
It is cool as fuck.
So it's mummies
Yeah.
that are protecting the reincarnated pharaoh. And every episode they transform, they're just regular ass mummies, and then they get to like put on these they like do this transformation sequence, and they get to change into like animal based armor systems, which is really fucking cool.
There's one that just slices everything, and it's just fucking sick.
Yeah, there's a dude. He's a falcon, so he gets wings and he gets to fly around. And then one dude's a ram, and he gets a really cool. He's a one-armed mummy for some reason, and he gets like a mechanical arm that gets to do a bunch of cool shit. Mummies Alive was one that I watched a whole.
Wasn't
bunch
there
of.
one with skeletons?
Skeleton Warriors?
Skeleton Warriors? Was that not a?
I don't. It was never on the list of what I consider.
Gotcha.
It's probably closer related to like He-Man, I would say. Like you could probably draw a line from it to He-Man closer than you can to TMNT.
Right. And also like the Mummies Alive maybe too.
Mummies Alive too, but just the fact that they're like animal based are kind of in there.
This has He-Man written all over it.
Mapping out like where all these come from is very interesting.
Right, of course.
To be honest.
Yeah.
You've also got in the 90s, they made a Mighty Ducks
They
cartoon.
did.
It was because they were actual ducks.
They were actual ducks, yeah.
Who
played hockey.
Who
They
played
played
hockey.
Yeah.
Because they're from a duck planet. One of the guys' names was Duke Larange. Duke Larange.
Duck Larange.
They were fighting aliens that were hidden, and one of the guys had a magical hockey mask that could let him see the aliens when they're hidden. There's literally an episode, he's the goalie, of course, where they're playing hockey, and the guy's coming to him, and he's about to shoot, and he's like, should I turn on my magical mask so I can see where he's going to shoot? And he's like, no, that would be cheating. I can't do that. They're like aircraft. The rink would open up, and then the roof would open up, and then they would like shoot out of the rink. Like everything was like hockey based. They had like blasters on their hands, and it would shoot hockey pucks. Like it was all hockey related. Fucking love that show. Jesus Christ,
it was just wild.
All
stuff.
this shit was like right up my alley.
Yeah.
You also. Besides just coming up with like, okay, weird animal, what weird animal creation can we make? Let's take a very not kid friendly property and let's turn it into a kid friendly cartoon property.
Are we going to be trauma adjacent? Possibly?
Yes. This is Toxic Crusaders.
No.
I had so many fucking toys of this.
Right.
Like. I should not have had these toys. These toys should have never been made.
Toys are fine. It's the deep lore that'll get you in trouble.
Oh yeah, because I was like, I want to watch a Toxic Crusader movie.
Yeah.
So I watched.
We have one called the Avenger.
So I saw
3.
The Toxic Avenger.
The Toxic Avenger 3.
Yeah.
3.
The one where he fights Satan.
Yeah.
My very religious parents were very happy that we had to watch. For some reason, we watched the whole thing. I don't know why.
Because if you'd stopped, like your desire to see the end of it would just let it end. That was.
I don't know. You'll have to ask
That's
them.
solid
The
parenting.
first one would have been the worst choice.
Probably.
Oh yeah, with the child's head getting run over, by a car. Yeah, that would have been bad.
But Toxic Crusaders. This was a cartoon based on the Toxic Avengers. There was a wolf with a gigantic tongue. Every toy like had some kind of like snot or something with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that gross ass shit.
There was a 2-headed guy that one head controlled half the body, the other half.
Yeah, there was nothing I loved more than a gross ass toy.
That also pairs with another trauma property that was turned into kid friendly, which was Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
Right. Oh yeah, yeah.
So there was a little bit of that going on.
Yeah, I watched the fuck out of Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
Both of those had Nintendo games.
Yes.
Yeah.
Original NES games.
Right.
Yes.
So yeah.
There is a show called Road Rovers.
Road Rovers. Okay, this was one that I wasn't familiar with, so I didn't write it
more
down.
Obscure.
To my knowledge, it is again anthropomorphic dogs.
Yeah,
and
fighting crime.
A group of them had superpowers and also a flying vehicle.
Yeah, of course you have to have a flying vehicle.
Yes.
And
imagine like
the turtles had the turtle van and then the turtle blimp, so you have to have.
Imagine a Dodge Caravan, but it had airplane wings and
that sounds about right.
It floated.
That sounds about right. Yeah, that was one that I was not as familiar with.
What's crazy too is like if you think about like and these two things that I'm about to mention don't really like line up as far as like an evolution towards the Ninja Turtles, but I do have to mention this because I am a 80s kid and cartoon nerd. Is that before the Turtles comic book and before the Turtles and anthropomorphic animals, they just had animals. And so we had shows that like walking and talking animals, you know, but smaller statute, smaller size. And so you had obviously you have the Care Bears.
Yep.
You know, you have the Care Bears. You have another obscure one, Shirt Tails, which
Shirt Tails. I'm not familiar.
I remember you telling me about.
I
this.
told Ethan about Shirt Tails.
What about Snorks?
Snorks.
Well, that was the Smurfs.
Yeah, Snorks come from Smurfs.
Smurfs. The people who made Smurfs made Snorks, and then you have my favorite out of any of those. Gummy bears.
Gummy bears bouncing here and there and everywhere.
High adventure that's beyond compare.
We are the Gummy Bears.
I watched the fuck out of Gummy Bears when it like came out on was it NBC that got
ABC.
those? ABC
because it was a Disney property.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even before ABC was acquired by Disney, Cap Cities did a lot of work with. Like The Wonderful World of Disney appeared on ABC for years and years.
Yeah, I'm not aware of this.
Yeah, Gummy Bears.
What, Gummy Bears?
The adventure of Gummy Bears.
The Adventures of Gummy. Oh my god!
They drank gummy berry juice and let them bounce all over the place.
And humans could drink it once a day and get the same powers, but they drank it more than days.
They would become super strong.
Dashing and daring, courageous and caring.
Yeah, we're watching something after the show's recorded.
All through the forest.
But
they sing out in chorus.
It is very interesting because all of this is like run by capitalistic greed, to be quite honest.
Of course.
Not to get on my soapbox or anything, but
there's one that I need to discuss.
Okay.
Imagine you and a group of 3 other friends.
Okay.
You're on a hike in the mountains.
Okay.
And you're thinking, man, my life is absolutely average. All of a sudden, a giant fucking spaceship flies down to the mountain, and out come bipedal dinosaurs.
Okay.
And they go, hey, we need your help. We need you to watch out for these red colored dinosaurs because they're trying to take over the world.
And our Cadillacs.
Their leader is Genghis Rex.
Okay.
Make sure you tell us if you see them here. And that is the story of the Dino Saucers.
Oh,
this is a very obscure one because I'm not familiar with this one.
I would not see it. Like we're talking about, Snorks comes from the Smurfs tree. I think Dino Saucers comes from the Transformers tree.
That is quite possible.
I believe
there are these different trees.
It was on a list that I found. So
that was on a list.
So that way I can get a better understanding.
That is the most Chat GPT answer you could have given.
That was a clip.
Oh
yeah,
my
that was a very
God.
Google AI answer.
That was
Yeah.
very Watch
Again,
Mojo of you, sir.
Cadillacs and dinosaurs. There was also a dinosaur thing too.
Yeah, there was a big dinosaur
There was
thing.
Denver the last dinosaur.
dinosaur.
But you had like, this stuff comes from He-Man and this one stuff comes from Transformers.
You can kind of pick and choose, and some of them were just original properties.
Yeah, sometimes, it's
like
just
Cadillacs and dinosaurs is I besides Biker Mice from Mars, I don't know where that's coming from.
Yeah. But yeah, you had like I just think this is a really interesting thing because it is like a trend that happened because they chase trends and they see one thing that works and they try and figure out what about this works.
They do.
And most of the time, like none of these had even close to the staying power in any way, shape, or form. As like nothing that we have talked about.
I would argue that
close.
out of everything that we have talked about, the best you're going to have is a cult fandom.
Yeah.
Like and I don't necessarily mean like it seems demonizing. Demeaning. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like kind of minimize it. It's like no,
Yeah.
if that's what you loved, like by all means, you love it.
Yeah,
But
there's nothing wrong with cult following.
But comparative volume, there's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and then everything that it begat.
Well, I think also like for the problem with copycats is that like for one thing, the original thing that you're copying is already predominant, like it's already everywhere. And another issue is one of the reasons why we had so many wild and different cartoons before TMT, TM whatever.
Yeah. How is it easier for you to say Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
I don't know.
Than
I
TMNT?
don't know. But anyway, because much like the music industry, there wasn't a winning formula at the time. Like the only other winning formula at the time before Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was G.I. Joe as far as toys and cartoon and those things matching up and both being really
you
good.
You wouldn't throw Thundercats in there with that?
Thundercats didn't have an amazing toy line though. They had a small toy line. Their
toy line wasn't as big as say like G.I. Joe or Transformers.
As far as volume, I could see
the quality of the toys was okay. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about the robustness of the toy line.
It wasn't as far-reaching.
Like G.I. Joe, they had 20,000 different characters in the toy line that was never on the TV show.
And a 6-foot aircraft carrier.
Yeah, a 6-foot aircraft carrier and all the vehicles you could ever want. And the Thundercats was problematic for their toy line because they only had like one or two things they could really do with it.
Yeah.
But when Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came out, a formula arose and they're like, oh, this is a really cut and paste formula.
Yeah.
Let's try and do it. And for most shows, they were cool shows. Some of them were really good and quality shows. Like Biker Mice from Mars is a really cool show. However, does not have lasting power.
No.
It had 1 to 2 seasons. I don't even know if it had more than one season, to be honest.
I would venture to guess that if we were, I didn't look at this, but all the stuff that was TV shows.
See how many seasons just Biker Mice from Mars had?
Nothing had more than 4 seasons at the most.
Street Sharks probably
Street Sharks I think was the most.
Right.
Biker Mouse 1.
One season. Yeah. How about Cowboys and Moo Mesa?
Yeah.
I just because I'm curious.
2
seasons. That's impressive.
Street Sharks really quick because I think
Street Sharks probably had 4.
3.
Okay,
seasons.
well, that's better than most of the other ones.
Yeah, 3 seasons is probably the best you're going to get out of any of these.
Because it was one of those things where it was like if the cartoon didn't do well enough, the toys wouldn't
it's not even about the cartoon necessarily. The cartoon could do poorly, like it could get, but if the toys sold,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
if the toys sold, and oftentimes, most of the time, it was connected. It was very closely connected, but sometimes it wasn't. But it would get seasons as long as the toys
right. But
sold.
the show had to be good enough for the toys to sell.
It had to catch at least,
and if it was a snowball effect, and it was like a Mobius strip.
Yeah, because TMNT got to a point where it was basically like self-sustaining.
Right. It got to a point.
Like as long as they could come up with new types of toys and new versions of the turtles and new weird ass mutants, it would just start
to the point of where when it got to a point where they didn't they were creatively bankrupt for a while, they didn't need the cartoon anymore.
No,
they had the toys.
Yeah. And I mean, they're bringing back, like, you can buy like reissues of like a lot of the old toys. But yeah, I think that this is a very interesting like part of, like, again, like TMNT and most of these things. Several of these other shows were like very big parts of my childhood. TMNT like was so fucking big. I was such a little freak for Turtles. Yeah, and I think it's a very interesting because, again, yeah, this is a thing where they saw a formula and they tried to figure out that formula and it never really worked again.
I think the closest you got with this it would be like Street Sharks or Extreme Dinosaurs.
Well, mostly Street Sharks.
Definitely Street Sharks. I think Extreme Dinosaurs was only like one season.
More than likely.
I don't think because I remember watching a thing. What made me think of this is I can't remember the channel on YouTube, and I apologize, but they do a lot of like they talk about some like old things that made like that had cartoons or shows.
Used to be
with,
called
like,
Toy Galaxy, but it's called something else now.
Yeah. I really like them because they do like really good breakdowns of these different shows.
That's a
had
really
these toy
great
lines.
YouTube channel.
But he recently talked about Extreme Dinosaurs, and I think it only had like one season.
One season.
But yeah, like I said, this is a very interesting thing because, like you said, back in the 80s, they had these big properties that had like the little copycats and things like that. But it wasn't as like, but they were kind of varied. You can argue that like Thundercats and He-Man were very closely related. But like most of the other ones, like Transformers was not like G.I. Joe, which was not like He-Man.
Well, I would say Thundercats kind of stood out too.
Thundercats stood out a little bit, but when you really think about it, like they're closer. It's closer related to He-Man than like the others.
Yeah, sure.
The others are related to each other as well.
Right. One that I was upset that only got like a very short stay, and that was Silverhawks, made by the people who did Thundercats. So cool. If you take something and put it in space, I'm on board.
Oh yeah. But this was a very interesting point in time of like cartoon history, so to speak.
It's peak. It's peak like, cartoon history.
Like, something was like super mega ultra gigantically popular.
Yeah.
And then it spawned so many of these little copycats and trying to get that same magic or at least get a piece of it, and none of them really did. But hey, because of TMNT, 6 Degrees of Separation, we got Vin Diesel in a Street Sharks commercial, so that's cool.
Yeah.
Ethan, you want to hit us with your ranking?
Absolutely. So these they are in no particular order, okay? But it is S, A, B, C.
Okay, this is a tier list.
You're doing a whole tier list.
Okay,
yes,
tier
all right,
list.
all right.
Okay, then let's start with the filth.
Filth.
Yeah. F for filth.
I actually don't have an F.
Okay. Oh wow, nothing.
Yeah.
D minus.
Nothing.
What's your
D.
lowest?
D.
Nothing's
D.
below a D.
Nothing
Okay.
D
below
for
a D,
D's
okay.
nuts.
Yeah.
He didn't watch the intro to comic strip.
Okay.
If he says comic strip is an A, what will you do?
I do not believe I have.
I'll ask him why did he put the cartoon show that killed Rankin and Bass as as one of his top picks.
Okay. So, and D, it is going to be a TMNT show.
Okay.
It is going to be Ninja Turtles Next Mutation.
That sounds about right.
That was the live action one.
Yeah.
The live action one that actually crossed over with Power Rangers in space.
And had Venus de Milo.
Yeah. First to introduce a female turtle, and it was awkward.
It was not good.
Because they all hit on her, and it's supposed to be their sister.
Oh no!
It was very weird.
The intro is nothing but like garbled noises. Like imagine like just generic sci-fi noises, and then they just say Ninja Turtles.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
I don't. A lot of these I don't remember. Like
I'm watching that after we get done.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is the original theme is like burned into my brain.
Oh yeah,
but most of these other ones I'm not going to remember. But I do remember that one not being good.
These next two, I think all of y'all are going to hate me.
Okay.
I have Biker Mice from Mars and SWAT Cats.
And what?
And D.
Funny enough, I don't remember.
That's fair because no. Let me say this right now. as far as memorability goes, no. I remember the shows. I don't remember the fucking theme songs.
I don't remember Biker Mice from Mars, but I do remember a little bit of SWAT Cats, and I remember not hating it.
Yeah, it is for the sole fact that there's no. It is just noise. It is just noise.
Yeah,
There's no
like SWAT
no
Cats,
catchy tune.
SWAT Cats is just like some cats flying around in a jet, and there's some generic rock and roll music in the background.
Same thing with Biker Mice.
Yeah, I don't remember Biker Mice from Mars having lyrics to it.
And then in the same vein, I also have Gargoyles because no catchy tune. It's just ominous music.
Just because it's music doesn't mean the intro is bad, in my personal opinion.
I'm probably I would have put I wouldn't have put Gargoyles in there. We've already talked about that, but I disagree with that one because
No, don't get me wrong. I love Gargoyles.
That was good. Do you not like the Batman the Animated Series one because there's no like lyrics to it? Like that's
I'm not. We're not going over Batman, are we?
No, but we're going over lyrics versus instrumentals. Apparently.
The tribunal has put forward the question: do you not like the Batman the Animated Series theme because it has no singing to it?
To be fair, I always skip it.
You fucking monster.
Wow.
I want to watch the show. Anyway,
did you skip past the intro to Dan to Dan after the first time you watched it?
I still have not. I have not gotten around to watch Dan to Dan.
Mashal.
How have I watched an anime before you?
I watched the intro. I watched the intro on the first episode, and then every other episode.
I hate you.
To be honest, for most, I didn't do that with Dan to Dan, but like for most anime, I will watch one. I'll watch it once. And then,
I agree.
And then
I agree. But Mashal is just like Dan to Dan on the catchiness. So season 2,
and then the last one in D tier is a show called Stone Protectors.
This is the troll one.
Yes,
I had a couple of.
It is fucking weird.
It is fucking weird.
I had a couple of Stone Warrior action figures. Because it was like a troll head on like a He-Man body.
Yeah, it was.
It was so funny.
It's so weird.
It is in D tier for the sole fact that it made me so very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It is so weird.
Like, we're the Stone Protectors. We protect the stones.
Hey, you remember Trolls? What if Trolls was like He-Man?
And they're also in a rock band.
Yeah. What if we made it have an actual storyline instead of just these cute little things with funny hair? I forgot about that one. I meant to put that one down. I forgot about that.
It is unsettling, and I did not appreciate it.
Yeah.
But then again, I also don't like the troll dogs.
The action figures were batshit.
Yeah.
Absolutely batshit.
In C tier, I have Dino Saucers from what we were discussing.
Okay.
Earlier.
I have no idea how that one is.
A show called Kung Fu Dino Posse.
I heard that one was on one of the lists, but I didn't
never
put it down.
heard of
But I didn't put that down because I had never fucking heard of it.
Where it is dinosaurs in modern age New York City.
That sounds like a USA Network.
Yeah, it's kind of like Extreme Dinosaurs, except that they're not buff. They're just like humanoid.
And they know kung fu.
Yeah.
All right, Neo.
They're like very lithe.
Yeah.
Okay. Strange.
And then the newest iteration of TMNT, Rise of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, where it's a remix of the original theme song that it doesn't necessarily. It's not good. It just doesn't sound good.
Is that the one that's based off the newest movie, or is that the one that is?
This came out before the newest
before
movie.
That. There was like a really radical redesign, right?
Yes,
that a lot of people were mad at because Jesus Christ, people.
As far as the show is enjoyable. It's new and different, and I didn't mind it, but just like I said, this is just the opening.
Yeah,
opening intros.
Sure. Yep.
That was C tier.
Okay,
we go to B tier.
All right,
where I have the Toxic Crusaders.
Okay.
Road Rovers. Wild West Cowboys of Moo
Yeah, that
Mesa.
one's pretty good.
Mighty Ducks.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
I remember liking Mighty Ducks.
Battletoads, because I did include it. And Samurai Pizza Cats.
Oh yeah, Samurai Pizza Cat's great.
If you went with the pause screen music for Battletoads, that is S triple plus tier.
That is also really good.
A tier. I have Street Sharks.
Uh-huh.
Mummies Alive.
Uh-huh.
Extreme
I remember
Dinosaur.
liking Mummies Alive.
Extreme Dinosaurs,
Mm-hmm.
the 2003 TMNT show, which
Yeah.
goes Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles,
Mm-hmm.
and the 1987 TMNT
In A tier?
in A tier.
Don't agree with that.
I enjoy it.
Mm.
Okay,
But-
hold on. So what's in Sierra tier? What's in
Yeah,
S
what's
tier?
in S
What,
tier?
what beat it?
The 2012 TMNT.
That's a generational difference there.
Yeah, I think that's what that is.
And I will say likely, but I still enjoy all of the majority of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Except for that one you gave a D to.
Yes, that one. No,
That one-
We
that
should
one-
have clarified this, but it's literally just the
Just-
song,
yeah,
not
the
the
theme
intro
song, yeah.
video or anything.
no.
Okay. All right.
This is just a song.
Did you watch the 1987 opening, or did you just listen to it?
I did both. I did
Okay.
both.
All
But
right.
this is strictly
this
strictly
is-
from the
I'm not going
intro
to be
song.
harsh. I don't agree with you, and I'm actually a little mad at you right now. But I'm
That's-
not going to be harsh. And I
called
think,
it.
and
I
I
called
think,
it.
and I think this is a generational thing,
Yeah.
and we're not going to litigate it.
I'd have to agree
Uh,
with Brady.
I believe that you're wrong on. You're pretty good with some of these, I think, but you're wrong on a couple. And I'll just leave it at that because we don't have all day.
No, we
Yes.
don't. But I will say this. Ethan may or may not understand what I'm about to break down here. There was a time where
When I was so broken hearted,
Sure.
love wasn't much.
where
A friend of mine.
where sometimes you would see a video on MTV. You see a video, and the video would be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
With the music and the image would be great together, and then you would listen to the song by itself, and it would be as good because the video was told such a great story that the music didn't really hold up as well without the visual media of it.
Strangely enough, that's my opinion of Aerosmith's "Crying." Actually, yeah, without the video, that
I
song
think
is not as strong.
I think the trilogy.
fair
I
enough.
think the
Yeah.
trilogy is really like that video trilogy.
'Cause it's what
is,
that crazy and
crying
it's crying, crazy, and amazing.
and amazing.
Ooh, it's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, those
okay.
songs are like okay, but with the video, they're really good.
Mhm.
And I think that the 1987 Ninja Turtles intro with the theme song, you can't really separate those two.
I think the theme song is good enough to stand on its own. But again, we'll be all night here trying to throttle Ethan and trying to get him to see our ways.
If it is any, I had a tough choice with it.
You at least put it in A tier. Anything below that, and I really would have probably lost my shit.
No, it is not going below A. ever.
But yeah. Is that the whole list, or was there something?
that is the whole list.
That is the whole list. So please write in and tell us how wrong Ethan is.
Travelers on the omnibus at gmail.com.
Yeah, what was the dude's name? You specifically
Yeah,
write
Seated
in,
Boxer.
write in and berate one Ethan Skinner
Yeah.
for his choices. And it's really his fault
Where
for
did you
not
put
being
biker
born
mice?
in the
Where
right
did you
time.
put biker mice?
Biker Mice in D
In
tier.
D
Okay.
tier.
His hashtag was biker mice for life. So we definitely
Oh,
we definitely
man.
need a response for this
Oh,
Cedar
man.
Boxer.
I've definitely pissed him off.
Yeah, that's really farming that engagement.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not going to otherwise.
So does
Whoa.
wow. Shots fired. Damn.
Hashtag come at
breathe,
Ethan.
motherfucker.
Does
breathe.
anybody have anything else that they want to say about the topic thereof?
I want to go on just a very brief tangent.
Okay.
We talked about this in the in the prep for the show.
We got
So-
another 30 minutes,
Well,
sure.
Yeah, it will only take about 5 because I just want to briefly touch on
Yeah.
this topic. So when we talk about things having knockoffs, they had an influence. So I want to talk very briefly about Power Rangers, which in my opinion is the next like young child to early teen like toy and like TV franchise,
Yeah.
which kids would watch too. What effect I feel because Super Sentai existed well before.
Yes.
Well before
71.
Ninja, well before
71.
So I'm not suggesting here that Power Rangers was a knockoff. I don't feel it was.
Right.
How much do you feel the existence of Ninja Turtles opened the door for Power Rangers to come into the American landscape?
I think you could definitely argue that it did have. I think really looking at it, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles like really opened the door for a lot of these like weirder things to come out, and for people to start trying stuff, because they, even if they weren't like, let's do what TMNT did, it was we're still gonna chase that franchise potential, because again, this was like about a $6 billion property.
Yeah.
So I think this did lead people to go like, well, let's try some shit and see what works. And I think Power Rangers was really that next thing that they tried and really worked, and had a lot of knockoffs from that. And with that one, it was less like, where TMNT was, hey, let's throw some anthropomorphic animals in there and do like edgy 90s counterculture looking things, to let's take a property from Japan and recut it and not pay our actors very well, and so we can.
There were many things.
I think when it comes to Power Rangers specifically, there is I'm not necessarily sure if there's a video essay or if it was an actual documentary that I watched many years ago. But the history of Saban is a weird one.
Oh yeah, Ham Saban, we could do a 4-part episode.
And so I think those things just kind of like coincidentally lined up over the years, because Power Rangers is like
93. I just looked it up.
Right, so it's like 5 years after the Turtles started.
Yeah,
I think,
and it's really a year before the first series died.
I think Saban had been trying to acquire that property before even the Turtles show came out. And I think also
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles probably helped pave the way for him actually getting that on network, not necessarily giving him the idea, but
on
like
television,
allowing these corporate these TV execs seeing like, okay, well, let's try this and see if this works, and see if we make we really want to make as much money as
I can't deny that Turtles. Part of it. There's definitely like, it's not a yes or no kind of thing. There was a lot of different like cogs in the machine that had to line up for,
again, like looking
Power
through
Rangers.
all of this and finding the little spider web of everything is very, very interesting.
For Power Rangers specifically, there is an actual interesting backstory to Saban getting the rights to that show.
Yeah.
And so if you watch anything to do with that, you'd get a little bit more of an idea of how just that show specifically, how that came to be. Because this is before Fox Kids. This is before all that even started. So yeah, there's a lot of history there. So I don't necessarily agree with like some of it, but part of it, yes, definitely opening the door.
Again, and I want to insist, I don't think in any way that Power Rangers is a knockoff of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. What I'm saying is that if you'll notice, like with like a lot of Super Sentai, sometimes it was adults in the universe. The fact that the Power Rangers are teenagers immediately, I think there's a lot of things that kind of formed and shaped the first iteration of it that came over across the Pacific.
I think that the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles show definitely allowed for more opportunities for something in the vein of a group of younger heroes fighting weird villains. That's where I'm gonna stand on that.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with that. That's my thought of it, without having to like do more research on things. Like that's what my gut says.
Right. We will definitely have to have a Power Rangers episode at some point.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
Definitely. We could. Yeah. We've gotten a few episodes out of this. Ethan, remember that one down too.
Gotcha. What am I remembering?
Sure.
You're next to the board. Write it down.
The first one we talked about earlier that all three of us have forgotten and you've remembered, and the Power Rangers one that I just mentioned.
Yeah,
remember both of those, please.
Definitely.
This is getting very passive aggressive.
Yeah,
more aggressive actually.
So we hoped you enjoyed this little rundown of things. Because again, I find all these little spider webs to be very interesting. So hopefully you got a little something out of this. Maybe this makes you go like, hey, maybe I want to check out these TV shows. Good luck with that. I have no fucking idea where any of this shit is, or even if it's available.
Hey, Street Sharks, Tubi.
Hell yeah.
Tubi,
our Lord and Savior.
A lot of these
The
properties.
Super Bowl's on Tubi.
A lot of
I hope that you watch Tubi and then you get to watch the Vin Diesel commercial as one of the commercials.
A lot of these properties were on CBS. Biker Mice from Mars was a CBS cartoon, and so was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Biker Mice from Mars was a early morning weekday cartoon because I watched it every morning before school.
But CBS is owned by Paramount, and so Paramount should have at least some of this.
Yeah.
If not, find it somewhere else.
Yeah,
and it would also have the Nick era of.
Oddly enough, a lot of times you can just look on YouTube, and a lot of the episodes are up there.
There are going to be episodes
because
of some of these shows.
Nobody pays attention to copyright.
Well,
for some
also
of the shit.
if it was uploaded before certain time periods, as well.
And sometimes you can like rent them off of YouTube, but don't do that.
Yeah,
Why would
don't give YouTube any money on that regard.
So that is the end of our episode. Unfortunately, all of our friends hate us now and refuse to allow us to do plugs.
Yeah,
so
because they decide, you know what, this podcasting thing.
You know what I think? I think that as soon as wrestling starts getting good, we should quit our show. Because that's what I feel.
Well, then I have a disagreement with you because I think wrestling is right now is some of the best I've seen in a long time.
I just said that.
So we have to quit the show now.
I'll take your word for it.
Well, gentlemen, it's been a
I'm
pleasure.
just tired watching it.
It was great.
Spend a time.
The only comfort we have in these trying times,
the one thing we can truly rely on,
is McNarb Gaming.
Gauche,
that's
Mississippi.
true. Mississippi.
That's true.
God Emperor of Gaming, Cameron Spaniar.
Have you been wanting to get the books for Shadow Dark? They have them now.
Yes, they're available.
Are you eager for the Aether Drift pre-release for Magic the Gathering? Mechanope Gaming will have it.
Do you want some packs of Innistrad Remastered?
Yeah,
they're there as well.
Soon they are going to have the Gundam card game as well.
Do you want to?
And just recently they have the One Piece card game.
They got some One Piece games in.
Yeah, board games. Yeah,
board games.
Do you want
I have
to?
no idea how good they are or how bad they are.
They have the Lord of the Rings trick-taking game.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings trick-taking game, which actually looks like a very good game.
And a plethora of other staples. In
A cornucopia, if you will.
A smorgasbord, if you will.
Could you tell me how many are in a plethora?
Possibly more than 2.
That's a
Survey
three of me.
said.
That's a Three Amigos joke.
A buttload is an actual.
I don't know why I hit that button.
Yeah, I don't know either. A buttload is actually a type of measurement.
Yeah. Check out Mechanope Gaming.
Pick up Arcs, the latest critically acclaimed board game from Cole Worley and Kyle Farron from Letter Games.
They've got a lot of accessories for Wingspan and Wormspan.
And Ticket to Ride.
They got a whole bunch of Ticket to Rides.
They have deluxe cars in response to the 20th anniversary.
And if you were here a few years ago, specifically the Simpsons edition of Codenames.
Sure, go back in time and get the Simpsons edition.
Pick up your 1985 DeLorean.
Go back in time.
Go back in time
and get the Brainiac ship
before Greg
destroys
like fucking Mario, like Goomba stomping. Now, I had bought the other one that night, and he comes in and goes, "No one's buying this shit," and he threw it on the ground and stomped it with his foot. And I'm literally holding the one I bought in my hand, and he was like, "Oh."
Maybe your child will get traumatized by an event like this, and he will have to give them free shit.
He'll have to give them a copy of Love Letter.
If you want to know what the fuck we're talking about, come to McNarb Gaming.
Come down to McNarb Gaming in Gauche, Mississippi.
Okay. The whole point of us not having people to plug is that we spend less time plugging shit, and we just spent that whole fucking time plugging McNarb's. Come to it or not. I don't give a fuck. Fuck it. That's the end of the show. We're rolling into the station. Whatever the fuck we say
Limping
anymore
in.
is way too
We're
late, and I am
limping in.
tired.
Yeah.
And I really do have shit to do in the morning.
We're at 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
So-
yeah.
For Travelers on the Omnibus, I am Brady Davis.
I'm Jody Kite.
I'm Ethan Skinner.
Oh, I'm James McCarthy.
and
Sorry.
I don't know what the fuck we're doing next week.
No
So
one knows.
tune in.
Power Rangers. Let's just talk about Power Rangers. Fuck it.
I don't want to do a
Two
whole lot of
nostalgia
research.
shows.
Yeah.
I don't want to do any research. either.
Well, that plus 2 nostalgia shows. We don't do nostalgia very often, so.
We could, we just,
All right. You should stop recording because I'm about to play the intro to the Gummy Bears.